Hey, you guys. Hi. I've been into that song and I decided to just play it. And Elizabeth's been listening to it too. So I guess we're in the same taste going on there. That's Bjork, and that's the song title is Army of Me. Now, I been listening to it on Spotify. So underneath the album Post, and I like Bjork actually. Now she's probably part of the Illuminati. I don't know. I mean, she's probably done one of these pictures, right? Or I don't even want to do it because then I'm afraid that someone's going to look at me and go, "Oh, look, she's in the Illuminati too." The graphic that I have on this video is I was kind of Googling things on the internet. I guess, do you ever Google your name, or sometimes I'll Google names and shows that I posted just to see like where it's hitting on the algorithm. Like sometimes I'll tweet something, and then if I Google my name, or if I tell somebody, oh, I'm on the internet, here's my stage name, because Tere Joyce is a performing name. Something will come up that will be shocking to me. It'll be something that I just tweeted earlier that day, and I'm like, wow, it's so weird that that's the first thing in the search engines. I don't know. Maybe you guys aren't as like self-absorbed and vain as I am to see like where you're at in the algorithms. No, it's not really. I don't think it's that. It's just kind of like you want to know like where information or where you're at in social media, especially if you're doing media, right? And I did take a social media class when I was in college, because I wanted to learn more about it. I'm going to be expanding into some new areas. Like I'm probably going to go on Tumblr and do some microblogging and a lot more blogging. I've got a lot of fiction pieces that I've written, like flash fiction and essays and things like that. I'd like to get published maybe in the future. So just, yeah, I'm going to kind of, not that I'm going to stop talking about what we're talking about in our little community here. I should say we're so little, but I still kind of want to branch out into other areas. And so hopefully maybe some of you might join me in the other areas too as well. I don't really have like a whole lot planned today. This is kind of just an impromptu live stream. There are a few things. Oh, look, we've got, who's this? This looks like one of those channels that vom.red. That's bizarre. Okay, that's probably some sort of bot, or maybe it's code for something. Anyways, we're going to block that user. Thank you for appearing in the chat, though. That's really nice that you decided to be here. The photo that I am using in this graphic, let me get to that because that's where I'm going with this, is from the first season of Last Comic Standing. And I am the one that has the spikes in their hair and that's all punked out and everything like that. That is a past persona. But it was fun to find because I found another thing. I put it on Instagram. It's a Getty image. And because I was on an NBC show, they are actually charging $400. You can buy not this photo. This photo that I have on here, there's no for sale. The other photo that I actually just did a screenshot of all of it. Like, because I'm not supposed to, I don't think you're supposed to use it because you have to pay for it. It's from the show, and they're selling it for $499 or $450. I guess it's on sale right now. If you want the large version of it, they give you like different prices. Like I think the small is like $150. I'm like, wow, NBC is selling swag of my image. It's kind of bizarre to think of that because I don't think I'm going to make any money off of that. Like when you're on a show, like you signed over to let them use your image any way that they want to. Now I did in my contract, still, if they do decide to re-air the show anywhere, or whatever, I still do get residuals. And I should probably check in with the Screen Actors Guild to see if I have any residuals that actually come in. But it was fun to see that photo again. That's actually the entire cast. You know what? I might just go ahead on Facebook and just show it here again, because I put it on my Facebook cover just for fun. I know people might go, oh yeah, you know, she's sharing that, blah, blah, blah. That was like practically, you know, 20 years ago, because like I was on the show in 2003, and then I did a second season in 2004. But anyway, for those of you who, because I read stuff online after doing online shows here on YouTube, and after, you know, going in onto Revolution Radio and American Freedom Radio, and then kind of like basically busting some of the, what I think phony UFO people, or phony Christians, or phony crossover pagan Christians, or whatever that we're really looking at in trying to get to the truth of everything, and doing commentary on what's going on in the world and stuff like that. You know, I've gotten some bad press online by people who have like said things like, because they're trying to defend themselves, they'll go, oh yeah, she was on some show in the 80s, or, you know, alleged stand-up comedian, blah, 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 blah. Oh, she doesn't seem like, you know, whatever. Because like I should really care, but you do kind of care when, you know, when your business or your potential business, or, you know, you're being an entertainer or whatever, when you have a brand, right? Or you're, you know, like I would say, by being on Last Comic Standing, like I had some pretty major branding as a stand-up comedian, pretty major branding. Like I'm going to show you how major the branding is here in a second. But you get people like Hoaxstead. Like I read an article with Hoaxstead. If you don't know who Hoaxstead is after, I shouldn't even really mention his name, but Ricky Dearman was accused of certain things that I'm not really going to talk about now, you know, because like of the algorithms on YouTube, but you guys know what I'm talking about if you know who Ricky Dearman is, and what took place in Hampstead. And then you know, an online marketing research company specifically designed to trash people, which I had a really difficult time with last year, and even last year, like a year ago today. There are things, and I lost a lot of my social media. Like I almost had to start completely over. Like I lost, you know, YouTube channels, and, you know, Facebook pages, and like a lot of stuff like went down the toilet virtually, which I'm kind of glad that it did crash and burn, because, you know, now I feel like I have more control of how I present my thoughts and material, what platform I want to say what on, right? Because at this point, after you're a YouTube, you know, provider for a while, right? Or doing social media, you start to realize, we've grown up and realized like what platforms we can say what on and why without really being, you know, taken down. Now, there are other platforms that, I mean, there are other ramifications that can fall poorly on you. Is if, you know, you're talking about certain things and you want to like get a job or move into certain circles or something like that, that are believing a different narrative, you're not going to be able to move up as easily if you have certain things that you've said on the internet. So even though we say we have free speech and we can freely communicate, it doesn't mean that your words are not going to like fall back on you and have some sort of ramification for your political views, or, you know, you guys know what I'm talking about. So I think like through that, I've kind of learned this lesson through it. But Hoaxstead, you know, just anybody who talks about a certain topic that I'm not going to say right now, but you know what I'm talking about. Well, let's just say it. Anybody who talks about child trafficking or anything to do with that, you know, those people, not only are they more at risk of losing their channels, and they have lose their channels and come back many times. Matter of fact, I've been looking at Brian Harvey a lot. Brian Harvey lost his channel, and I found this really cool song that I want to play that he did. And people that are talking about secret societies, or like we saw Richie from Boston went away, Jamie Deluxe went away, a lot of people that I used to watch just to kind of see. Oh, let's talk about Zeph Daniel, filmmaker Zeph Daniel. Does a lot of videos on spiritual targeting, harassment, and gang stalking and things like this. Hey, Kara Cassidy lost her channel. Did Miles Johnston lost the Bases Project. Like a lot of these people that are out there that were big names in our community and the things that we wanted to talk about lost their channels, right? And so I'm just kind of reflecting on all of this stuff, and just for Hoagstead, if you do find that article about me saying that Tere Joyce alleged stand-up comedian, know that it was not alleged. I know that you guys are in the UK. Just like when I look at Brian Harvey, I didn't know that Brian Harvey, when I first saw his videos, I didn't know that he was such a huge pop star like he was. Like, if anybody is really subjected to being harassed for what he's saying, especially in England with like Jimmy Savile and all the everything. All right, he's even done videos where you actually even see his harassment happen to him in real time, and he documents it. But I don't think anybody can deny that Brian Harvey wasn't part of E17, that Brian Harvey wasn't a big pop star, that Brian Harvey didn't have, stuff go to the chart. And I was never really as big of a star as, in the United States as Brian Harvey was there. But for a moment of time, because of, being on the first season of Last Comic Standing, and then being part of the cast that branded an entire series in the comedy world, I had a flash of that to some degree, where, you were recognized on the street. And so, that was the cast. Matter of fact, I think just for fun, I will show the cast, and then I just kind of, I don't know, I'm just like recapping on stuff, I guess, today, and I just kind of got an impulse, like, what? I feel like broadcasting. I don't know if anybody wants to come on and talk with me later too. Just for fun, I'm gonna go ahead and show you like the pictures that I posted on Facebook. And last night, by the way, the fire, I decided to put the footage here on my own YouTube channel. When there was a fire that did break out here last night, and I was really watching CW Chanter. I was kind of, I was watching one of his videos, his most recent video that he did yesterday. I wasn't there for the live stream, but I was kind of just watching what he had to say, because I like listening to CW Chanter. I like listening to different people a lot. I've got my favorites. Just before the show started, I was watching Jimmy Dore live stream. Now, I watched a lot of his updates. Jimmy Dore's a comedian that has the Jimmy Dore show, and he was part of the Young Turks. You probably know him too. He's doing a lot of really good work, I think. And I actually worked with Jimmy Dore before. I worked with Jimmy Dore several times out of the Ice House Comedy Club, and I noticed that Graham Elwood is on his show, and of course Graham Elwood talks about things that we do. There are certain comedians that have gone into this genre, and to be honest with you, I've been thinking about, like, I need to start being funnier again. It's like And I don't know if I can do it all the time when I'm doing a show like this, but I'm trying to like put my brain into that spin. Even when I did my papers in my journalism class, I got a comment from one of my teachers where he said funny as usual. And I was like, oh my God, it's funny, like it's funny. And, there's a part of journalism that is humor journalism. And so I think that that's kind of where I would like to perhaps develop into in some way. I mean, Jimmy Dore is like way bigger than I am on YouTube, but it doesn't matter, right? Because like we're here, like there's just a few of you here today. It's like we're having like a small little intimate party. I mean, information is information, and however you say it and whatever platform you say it in, whether it's in like, a 2-3 minute bumper or, even a longer show, or it's, however, an interview, whatever, it's always information. It's always important. And because it's out there, somebody who has a bigger audience might see what you're saying. And then that information just grows and grows, as you hopefully grow too. But the main thing is that what needs to be said or what you think you want to say is out there for people to listen to and contemplate, right? I mean, that's how I look about it. I mean, I know we live in we live in a time of great censorship. And it's been difficult. We live in a time where, we have our cameras and we can just film anything we want to. Like, for example, last night when the fire happened, the first thing that I thought was like, well, one of the first things, like once I got outside and, looked at what was going on and was assessing the situation, I go, I better put my camera on. Like, why not film this? This is like worthy of filming, or you might pick up something that would be significant to what happened. I'm cleaning my little cup here. I have a cup that says, "You don't look a day over fabulous." That's a cup that my aunt gave me earlier. So I filmed it and I put it up, and then I titled it, it happened while I was watching CW Chanter, because it's true, right? I mean, it's kind of true. So you guys are just watching me. You're not really saying much, but you're watching, so that's good. You're welcome to comment if you want to. Okay, so let me show you. I'll show you. It's getting a little bit noisy out here now, but that's okay. You might hear outside noise. Okay, let me show you my Facebook page. And if you want to like me on Facebook, I'm at Tere Joyce. So, you can see my name here. But, it just took me back. It just like looking at it took me back. Remembering, I remember taking that picture. And it was further on in the show. As a matter of fact, by this point in the show, see what if you're not from like the United States, the show was about finding the funniest person in the United States. And in 2003, so they looked at this time, like later on, they saw way more people, and they even went to the UK and around the world, because our season did air in the UK too as well. There was an international show, and I think that was like season 5. But that Stat Fan, he was the winner, and a lot of people feel that he shouldn't have won. And Ralphie May, he's no longer with us. He's passed away. So he's the first person in the cast to have passed away. He had a heart attack like a couple of years ago. He came in second place. And really, honestly, I think Ralphie should have won. Okay, this is me. This is how I looked. I shopped at Hot Topic, okay? And this is Sean Kent. Sean Kent really didn't start out as a cowboy when I first met him. Honestly, we worked at this, there was a cyber cafe on Cahuenga and Barham in LA that he worked at. He wasn't a comedian yet. And I used to do these shows. I would produce a show there, and I did work there too because I got a job, but I was producing a show, and it was comedians and poets and musicians, like these amazing musicians would come in because it's LA, right? I mean, like you're right in the heart there. So anybody who is, there's incredible talent, and they would come in and just perform for free. One time, Margaret Cho came into the show, and this was when her career was kind of more at a slump. She had just been on, I guess, like, what was the name of her sitcom? American Girl or something like that. And then the show got canceled, and it was kind of like after it was between her getting doing her great special that she did. I think she broke out again after she did like a one-woman show called I'm the One That I Want. I believe that's what it was called. But she actually did stage time on my show one time before. Believe it or not, because it's true. Okay, this is Jeff Brown. He's a comedian that I probably knew him the most. Well, Sean Kent I knew really well, but I knew Jeff Brown. We both lived in Altadena, California at one point, and I'd worked with him for several years, and he had been on some shows where he had already some good exposure. Very charismatic guy. This is Jay Moore. He was the executive producer, and Jay Moore. He's done sitcoms and he's been in movies. He played Bob Sugarbaker in Jerry Maguire. So he's a comedian, and Last Comic Standing was pretty much like kind of his puppy. It was his show that really kind of retooled him into doing stand-up tours and this and that, and being seen as a stand-up comic more than an actor at that time. Although, yeah, he's had a very interesting career. This is Tess Drake. Tess Drake, I think the last time I saw that she moved to Dubois, I think. But she was on the show. She's very funny. She came in 5th place on the show. This is Rich Voss, and when I look at Rich, I kind of giggle. Okay, Rich Voss is he's from New York, and see, I used to smoke at that time. I was a smoker then, and Rich Voss and Dave Mordell had the cigarettes. I know this sounds like terrible when you're going after your addiction and everything like that, but this show was different, all right, in the sense that it wasn't just like a comedy competition where you went up and saw, night after night, the comedian going up and doing their set or a different set and competing and getting voted on and then eliminated. This show put us in a house together. Like there was cameras everywhere. It was like Big Brother. So we were living in a house where we were filmed 24/7 interacting with each other. And I got to be honest, we did not all get along. And everybody had, because when they cast shows like this, right, they want that. They want people's personalities to go, oh, this one and this one and this one and this one. Let's put all these people together. Let's put all these comedians with their own sense of thought or perspective and have them live in a house together. But it was really, I gotta admit, it was fun. I loved it. It was fun being on the show. And so Rich Voss was always hitting on me when I was on the show. Sorry, I'm outing him, but he was. And anyway, I won't go any farther because, but now Dave Mordell, they were prepared because like once we got into the house, we couldn't leave. It's almost like, it's not totally like being in prison, but it's like you can't leave the house. You can't just go, well, I think I'm going to go down to the 7-Eleven and get a carton of smokes, or I'm going to get a pack of Marlboro Lights or whatever. They had Marlboro Reds, all right? Hey, and both of them did. Well, they came in with they had their cartons already. They were already prepared to be smoking it out. So I had to be rationed cigarettes by them while I was in there. And I quit now, thank God. I haven't smoked since 2009. Every once in a while I sneak one. Like not every once in a while, but there are times where I have smoked one again. Like there was there's a show that I did a while ago here where I smoked. It was the Sarah Rachel Adams and Lauren Pritchard from the Mothership or something like that. That one I used it as a prop, but then after I used it as the prop, I realized I wanted to smoke a little bit, so I just threw all the packages all away. So I'm not letting myself get any more right now. So anyways, but yeah, and then it was like being in prison, right? And then Rich Voss would give me like a pack of smokes, and then he'd go, "What are you gonna give me for this?" I mean, they were playing, right? I mean, now everybody's so sensitive about stuff like that. It's like, oh, you were sexually harassed on Last Comic Standing. I'm like, okay, they're comics. You know what I mean? Like, what are you gonna do? But he would have never. I mean, he would have never have like pressured anything, because he doesn't have that kind of. Even though he's tough and kind of rough around the edges and everything like that, I really see Rich Voss as being kind of a softie underneath all of that. That's why he's tough. And then you have Corey Kahaney. Now, this lady was the one she was just a real bitch. I'm sorry. Corey, she even sees me right now. She knows she was a bitch to me. She knows she was. But we made a good conflict in the show, because that's what they want in reality television. So you got to be grateful for everything that happens, because whatever's going on, you just kind of use it, right? Because the main thing about reality television is that people need to keep watching, right? I mean, they need to keep watching. It's like, it can't be boring. Rob Cantrell was like the youngest in the cast, and probably the one who had the least amount of stage experience. I didn't tell people all of my stage experience. Like, I go, oh yeah, I've been doing it for 6 years. I've been doing it for way longer than that, but I didn't want people to think I was as old as I was. Because right now, right there, I'm 40 years old right there. I'm 40. So, and when you're in Hollywood, you tell them, oh, I'm 40, that's like the kiss of death. Like, well, you're practically dead. Like, we don't even know how you made it, because you're practically dead, right? According to, now this is Dave Mardell, and oh, he was just so very smart and funny. He's from the Midwest, and these guys became friends on the show. They even kind of edited it that way and made it a parody of it and everything like that. But this particular season, and forgive me, but taking you guys with me, but I just kind of, I feel nostalgic looking back on it. And I guess because we're getting to another year, like every time you get towards the end of the year, you kind of start to feel like I don't know, I feel more reflective about life, because, you're starting a new year, you're going to a new transition. Like, there's a definite marker of the ending of 2021 going into 2022. And then just kind of, when you look at all of your life and everything that you got going to, this is really very much a part of my life. This was very much a part of my life. And this changed my life, and it permanently, really. Like, I remember I had this, friend, like when we taped everything until the final 5, right? And then we signed these contracts that they said, oh well, you can't talk about the show, or we're going to sue you for $1 million until it's over with, because you can't tell anybody before it airs where you're placed at in the show, and or where anybody else is, because then you would have given it all away. It's a big deal. So you sign a contract for that, even as you get in as a cast member. And the contract is thick, and believe it or not, Last Comic Standing falls under the category of game show. So if you had been on any type of game show or whatever, you weren't really allowed to be on the cast. So it was really, I have to admit, it was really exciting to be on a reality show. It was an interesting experience to go through, and I'm still here to talk about it, so I'm grateful for that. But yeah, Dave Mardell, I mean, just a really great cast of people. And our season was actually nominated for an Emmy. It was very exciting. It was very exciting to be in something like this and then to go through it and to place. I lost at number 9 on the competition. It was just kind of weird because it's like that John Lennon thing, like number 9. But I lost at number 9, and but it didn't really matter because we all had so much exposure because you got to know us as characters. This was like MTV's Real World for comedians. So I did 6 episodes out of 9 of the first season, and then I came back on season 3, and it was we did a competition. Now this was just a straight competition, season 1 against season 2, and they were taped shows, and then that season was a mid-season replacement for the fall that year, and it was right after the Olympics, and so but the show didn't do well in that time slot. It didn't. Wow, I've got to stop that little announcement thing for Facebook there when I'm broadcasting, because I don't want that to come up in my images. But so anyway, that's a little bit of my background. I'm just kind of sharing it with you, just so if anybody wants to know who I am as a source, because I feel like, I talk about other people on my channel, right? And so, and they're fair to talk about me, but I need to correct your information about me because when people say things like, oh, allegedly I was, it's like, no, I was. And if you look on the internet, you will know that I worked for many years as a touring professional comedian. So now again, I'm not touring live right now, but then I was thinking, stop the share there. I was thinking, oh, look, Susan Strickland is like, okay, she's like out here, whatever. Okay. I don't know what that is. That has to go. That's been happening lately. Well, at least the bots are showing up. I feel so popular with that. So anyways, I was going to share that with you. And then I also want to, I found this thing about Brian Harvey. Let's see. Let me go with, I'll find it here in just a second. Wait, it's coming. I'm going to be doing something, showing you something of Brian Harvey, a video that I found. Oh, yeah, wait, let me go to my library here. Hold on. What am I doing? Oh, okay. Stop it. Oh, no, that's not what I want. I clicked onto myself. How stupid. Okay, wait. Where is it? No, I only go to the library. Okay, hold on. Financial crisis. See all. I should have had this more. I didn't know. Again, I'm kind of just impromptuing my my stuff here, so I'm not really. I was listening to Jimmy Dore. Man, he's like a rock star, boy. He like plays music and stuff like that before he comes on for the longest time. I know I looked at it. Where is it? Oh, here it is. Found it. Yay. It just didn't look like I expected it to. All right, so I'm gonna share it here. This is like a Brian Harvey song. make sure I got that up. I did that right. Just make sure I did it right. I just thought this was interesting. It came up on my queue. I think it's one that he's created on his own. But that being, and it's.
It's like no one's there, I'm screaming and shouting but no one hears. Is it the fact that I'm young so they don't understand me and no one cares? Every night I just go to my room, locked up, I don't wanna go downstairs. On my own, left the faces alone, and I know how it's so unfair, yeah. Certain things that happen in real life, you can only imagine what it feels like. For this verse I'm about to lay down is for those that can relate to the ill times. I know it's hard to cope with the stress, pain and the anger, but hope for the best. And then I wanna still going through it right now, all my prayers and hope go to the rest. Search for a healing, but you can't find it. Left in the deep end, no one ain't minding. It's like you're trying, but you still can't get out. Deep inside you, how you gonna let out? Some people handle it in different ways, make a different start on a different day. Some lose who hope, take a different road, and end up in a different place. If it was someone you left,
we love you. You know that. You see all this, Polly, you see all these people, all these people. They're all here for you, darling. Because I know you. You, Max, know all about a massive paedophile ring that's been operating in this country. Max, look at me and answer the question.
So unforgivable. Look what you've done to me. Got no life in front of me. Somebody's gotta help me out. I feel so invisible. Yeah. I think I'm going mad. I don't even know what to do. They even try to take a bit of time to try and see what I'm going through. They wonder if I'm sober today. Swear down, I'm feeling all over the place. But if I was classed as someone special, they'd be busy all over the case. Wait until it's over, you're late. Until there's nothing you can do. How you gonna ignore that child that's mad? Cause he seems only 3 times 2. But that child will grow older in age. He ain't always gonna be a little you. Live the life feeling over a rage till they've had enough, and they could be time soon. Till a move's made that brings regret. Caused by another thing that is neglect. Just one thing can happen in your life and be stuck in your mind with no chance to forget. And you think in the end, what have you got? You can't cope, fuck your friends cause it's too much. Nothing ain't gonna stop me right now from going out and straight up to the rooftop. If it was someone you left alone, every time you sat and watched it on the news, growing up with memories you wanna lose, just think this shit could've happened to me. I'm so invisible. This is unlivable. Look what you've done to me. Got no life in front of me. Somebody's gotta help me out. So invisible. So unforgivable. Look what you've done to me. Got no life in front of me. Somebody's gotta help me out. I feel so invisible. It's like I can't be seen in the dark. Can't stop myself from falling apart. Don't know where to go. I just know I'm alone. So invisible. Try to keep myself since I'm livable. She took away the rest. What you done to me? Got no life in front of me. Somebody's gotta help me out. I feel so invisible. Wanna spread my wings and fly. Try to find a reason why I should stay. Oh, tell me where did this go? Traveling on this road so long, I can't go on.
And I'll tell you what, I love these people.
Oh, if it was someone you left, who you do. For Every time you sat and watched it on the news, growing up with memories you wanna lose, just because it could have happened to me. So miserable. This is unlivable.
Do you believe children were buried in Shirley Oaks? What? How would you know? You're the one who ordered it to be leveled.
Somebody's gotta help me out. I'm so invisible, so unforgivable. Look what you done to me. Got no life in front of me. Somebody's gotta help me out. I feel so invisible. It's like I couldn't be seen in the dark. Can't stop myself from falling apart. Cold, so
I'm not going to pay for what you've done, Max. We don't care how old you are. You are a criminal of the worst degrees. Max Clifford.
every time you said it, growing up with memories you want to lose. I feel so invisible. Look what you've done to me. Got no life in front of me. Somebody's gotta help me out. I feel so invisible. Look what you've done to me. Got no life in front of me. I feel so invisible.
I really love that video. I think it's touching, you know, and even at the end of it, when I saw it, earlier today. Oh, wait, let me turn this off. I feel like I kind of I feel like I teared up a little bit with the fact that the one character wanting to commit suicide, and I'm assuming that that's the little boy, or that's an abused person later on in life. I don't think, with the way he's patting him on the back and this and that, I'm not thinking he's one of the perpetrators and he's going, "Hey mate, you didn't kill yourself," No, so in the end about all of this, right? We think about like censorship and how, you really can't talk about this subject on YouTube. By the way, I over the next few days, I will be getting another account on Odyssey, and I'm thinking of titling it the things you can't say on YouTube, and just be able to talk about the things that I feel that I'm restricted from discussing here on this channel. And what I'll probably do is just mention it and then tip you guys, if you want to watch that information over on the other channel, you can, because I still want to say a few things, but I also don't want to lose this channel. I like being on YouTube. As a matter of fact, YouTube is one of the #1, I think it's the #2 search engine. YouTube is the #2 search engine on anything on the internet. And that's huge. That's huge coverage. So you're better off having staying on YouTube somehow. Someone like Brian Harvey, gets kicked off and then is able to come back and then kind of build up his audience pretty quick, because he's he's a pop star, right? He's not a big star, he's not in the charts now. He's on a different path, but he is big enough to where he has a bigger following. They will pick up with him quicker. Like on my channel, before on my other channel, before I lost my other channel, I was at maybe close to 3,000. That's relatively, it's not great. It's not bad. I had some of my videos would get to 30K views or something like that. I had 35 or whatever. I'd hit a few markers on content, but when I start over, it's a lot more, it's a slower process. But I just want to say that I enjoy and I appreciate you guys who are here still with me, that followed me from the other places, and or the new people that have found my channel and enjoyed it. I'm not enjoyed it, but joined it. That's what I meant to say. And you enjoyed my channel and everything. But Rosalind, I love watching there. Yeah, I'm assuming like, you know, in the UK. So like more of you guys have joined. That's great. Liz Peters, love you back. Thank you for being here. And Bottega Verratti, thank you for being here. That she's Australia, and Rosalind R. Always great to see you here too. You know, Happy New Year to everybody. So just want to throw it out. Like I said, I'm not doing. There was nothing like I had really big planned. I just kind of. You know, was like did this at the last minute. I just thought, you know what? I feel like just going online for a little bit and saying hi. And also my last video, you know, with the burning house and everything like that, while I was watching CW Chanter on YouTube. There was a fire right next door, and so there was all that drama. And I you know, it's always good to like come and go, hey, you know, I'm fine. Everything, you know, my new apartment is still all okay, and everything's, you know, fine. It was just a little bit of excitement that happened yesterday. Also, just to kind of redirect you on a couple of topics that I've talked about here. On the last Christmas show that I had, I made separate videos out of it, and one of them is about Eva Brockbrader. And if you weren't there for that show, Eva Brockbrader defending her husband on the Basis Project again. I clipped that and just made that into a separate video because there's some topics that, you know, I talk about or whatever, and I just kind of feel like it might like something might come up, and I think, wow, that should be a video by itself rather than lost in, you know, a long live stream that some people may have just come in and out of at various times when they could. I'm probably going to live stream a little bit earlier than I have in the past. Also, next semester, all of my classes are online, so that's going to be kind of easier for me in the sense that I don't have to, you know, get up and go and drive someplace and do this and that. It's like, hopefully, I'm looking forward to still building new channels and new content as well. I want to let you know that this is more for women, but I just bought a domain called proageguru.com and proagebeauty.com. And I want to focus on changing our attitudes about ageism and, you know, how we think we're supposed to be when we get old. Now, you know what, this might appeal to some men as well, but some of the stuff I'll be sharing will be like beauty products and ways that women of my age still want to feel attractive and, you know, feel good about ourselves, even though we do realize that we're not as young as we used to be. Our boobs might be a little more saggier, or we might have gained a few more pounds, or, you know, whatever. But, you know, like, 'cause I just saw this video on Instagram, right? And also it was something I saw in a video. I watch Pockets of Future, and he did a thing about Valerie Bertinelli, and she's just crying in the camera and saying, I hate my body and I'm so disgusted by myself, and I don't feel like I'm being my best person. And you know, he kind of humiliated her because I think like I like his show, but I think he takes this thing like he just wants to think that all celebrities are ridiculous, and a lot of them are, and a lot of them act ridiculous, and unfortunately they jump on the bandwagon of manipulating manipulating for us to what to do and how to think and this and that. Now I know us here, you know, come to, you know, sitting here, you know, in this group, right? We see that, you know, that's why we're here. Like, it's funny because The Matrix came out recently. Yes, we do. And may I add that you're looking fabulous, Tere XX. Thank you, Joanne. I appreciate that. I'm starting to feel good again. You know, I am inside, you know, more going back to school was really important for me to decide to do, because I needed to go back and learn some things. And we can learn, we can always learn. It doesn't we can always like I always think, well, when you get old, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, or like we're just set in our ways. But we don't have to be, because what really matters is what's going on up here, right? What's going on here, what's going on here. And some of us see things like, and I think we're a community. I'm gonna admit it right now, and I don't talk about it very often. I don't even really acknowledge it in myself, but I see things, like I have psychic, premonitions and dreams and things. And lately they've even been a little bit stronger, I think. I don't know why that is, but it just is. So like when the fire happened, like even when I'm filming it, the smoke's coming out, I had a premonition. Like a feeling of it. Like even with my own candles, I was like really wanting to be cautious about the candles and thinking, God, it'd be awful if something caught on fire. And then it did catch on fire. And I'm just like, it's like, and I think that a lot of us that come together, and like we list, like I'm looking at the same channels you are, and in many ways I'm doing commentary on those channels. But one of the reasons why I got attracted to the UFO community, or interested in UFOs, interested in like what is this? There's something's off here. This is like a matrix, something like at some point in my life I had a crack where I went, what? Like all of a sudden I could just kind of see what was really happening. And, I could go back and tell you the personal experiences that did it. For me, the very beginning of it was when I was in a doctor's office next door to a medical marijuana dispensary in NoHo, North Hollywood. It was raided by the DEA and the FBI, the FBI, the DEA, they all came. It was like a movie. It was like, I felt like I was in a movie. Like I'm sitting there, in the doctor's office drinking coffee and everything. And then all of a sudden it's like, it's a raid. People are screaming. I look out the window. I could see like they're all running up with their guns and everything, just like they are in a film. I'm like, what's going on? And they go, calm down. It's a raid. Just calm down. I'm like, and so the medical marijuana dispensary got raided, and everybody from the dispensary ran into our room. And there I was with everybody else being held up by, the DEA and guns, and I dropped to the ground. And, the first thing that came out of my mouth was like, I'm just a comedian. I was like, what? I was like, I didn't know. I mean, and it was weird to say something like that. And then I was even giving credits. I'm like, oh God, I disgust myself right now. Like I ended up doing a routine about this because in the end, I figured nobody had material about being about being raided next door to a medical marijuana dispensary. But there was one moment. There was one moment where I was handcuffed and I was on the ground, with everybody else. And, I don't know, because honestly, I had smoked some weed before I was there. So I probably had my pineal gland was all open and everything like that. Like I had a really good sativa going on, and I was like in the middle of a raid. I mean, like, and I'm looking around. This one guy got hog-tied next to me, and I'm like, wow, that's ruined. That just ruined bondage for me forever. And I'm making a joke about it, but I actually ended up knowing that guy later on. Anyway, so I'm looking around, and I'm thinking, oh my God, this, and like sometimes you get a feeling like all of a sudden, like your spirit just like tunes in, like you're just like all there thinking, and I'm going, oh. First I thought, what the hell's going on with my life right now, right? And then the next thought I had was like, this is not an accident. Like, I'm supposed to see this. Like sometimes there are things that happen to you, even in the middle of happening to it, you're like, I'm supposed to witness what is happening right here. And then another thought I had was, oh my God, I've been asleep. Like I said that to myself, like I've been asleep. Like, how did it get this bad? Like, as if part of my soul or something was going, something's wrong. Our freedoms are being taken away from us. And the reason why these kind of thoughts were going through my head is because California was the first state to to pass medical marijuana use. We legislated that that you could. Oh, thank you, Adamine. Yeah, I am. I'm totally okay. I know, and I kind of knew I was gonna be but I appreciate it that you care. So when the I didn't vote all the time. Like I honestly sometimes I am in many ways I'm getting almost like, why bother voting? Like I really feel this way. Like even when people go, oh yeah, I voted, I got my sticker. I've done the same thing. I got my sticker, but does it really matter? I mean, I guess like you got to keep believing that it matters, because maybe one day it'll matter again, because people will realize that it stopped mattering, and then we have to do something about that. But when I had that realization, right, and I went, what the hell's happening? Like I've been asleep. How did it get this bad? And then I thought, I voted for this. Didn't matter what you think about it. All right. You're like, well, right now, especially in California, we had this question in my critical thinking class, and I was doing a paper called Cannabis Literacy, which was more about understanding the total plant. Now with legalization, we've kind of lost it. Like, it's like, oh yeah, just go get stoned, go get high, whatever. But the real medicinal aspects of it, like how can you use it to heal yourself? How can you, making paper? Why aren't we utilizing it? Why doesn't the United States have a hemp company happening right now? Why are we making plastics out of hemp? Don't get me started, right? I mean, I could talk about this for days, because it's the solutions to things are right there. But the problem is that people are so conditioned, they're so brainwashed to think a certain way about something, rather than, it's the perfect thing. It's like, it's Edward Bernays, it's Sigmund Freud, it's the media, it's propaganda, it's yellow journalism. And that's how it happened. That's how it happened with it. And, when I realized that, when I was able to grasp that tangible thing that involved the cannabis plant, that is when I started to go, oh my God, something's not right. That's when I started to look into other things. That's when I started to, after that, eventually start watching Carrie Cassidy and Are There Aliens? And, how is the media controlling us? Like, who's in power here? Why do I have to do this? That's the time where, I decided to join, to look at the things that now I oftentimes criticize those people for not being authentic. If you go into the world, look, man, mainstream. Oh, hi, Steve Ronan. I forgot to acknowledge. Hey, Tere, I'm watching from start. Oh, okay. All right, that's nice that you're watching from the start. I mean, I did indulge in my own self for a while there in the beginning, but I kind of think it's worthy to share my history like that with you guys, or just even on social media. I feel like I earned it, and the producer of the show, Peter Engel, he always says, everybody wins. Everybody that made it is where we all win, because that's having something in your resume. That's getting, to me, achieving a degree, where you have a resume and it shows something. It shows a standard of, what you produce and what you're educated to do. It matters. I mean, a lot of people go, oh, academia. Is academia, participating in the conditioning of people? Is it part of the system? Yeah, to some degree, yes. Everything has. Is it? Are the Freemasons involved with education? Probably, yeah, probably. But there's a lot of things that I saw going to back to school that were showed me, was inspiring, that to look at the writers and the people in history and to see where, you know, they broke boundaries. And like, I don't know, I had trouble getting that. They broke boundaries. They broke boundaries in elevating our human consciousness. And when I show you, like when I just wanted to show you the video of Brian Harvey, his art, that you know, somebody uploaded on our YouTube channel. I should probably relook and find out what channel it is, because I want to plug them. If you want to, because if I'm going to show somebody else's channel, I think maybe we should give them a shout out just to say this is where this was uploaded. It wasn't Brian Harvey's channel, it was somebody else, but it was just, that's memorable. That you know, like having a song or having a rap song and then having those images be there and, you know, hit people. You know, the beauty of film, the beauty of writing a story, the good part of it is that it's beyond YouTube. It's beyond, you know, me just talking here in front of a camera. You know, it leaves, the images leave a different kind of impression that hits us viscerally in a different way. And, you know, I think that it's good to praise other artists who do that. So, you know, I've never met Brian Harvey, but lately I've been looking into him a little bit more. I hear controversial things. I mean, there's a lot of controversial things that are said about a lot of us, especially if you have, you know, chosen to acknowledge and speak about certain topics. And, you know, my advice, like coming through, you know, through this media that we've been in and having been on some of the channels of that media, and then, you know, watching that media has its own bugs under the carpet. And that's why I wanted to point out those videos that I made specifically out of my last broadcast about Eva Brockbrader on Miles Johnston's show. Why is that relevant? Why is that relevant to look at? Well, because of the fact that it cannot be denied that Bill Brockbrader is a fugitive with the FBI. And it cannot be denied that it was. I mean, I'm not making this up. I mean, like, people can talk about, let's say, Ricky Dearman or something like that, and he ended up, like, not being convicted. If you could talk about, you know, what's his name? Mr. Eyebrows, you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Eyebrows, you know, the Presidio Elementary School scandal, right? You can talk about him and, you know, go, oh, he's evil, he's that, he has association to Anton LaVey, blah, 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 blah. And he did have an association to Anton LaVey. And, you know, we can all draw these little dots according to how people are associated to people, right? At the same time, when you're connecting those dots, you have to realize that those people might have broken out of that association, that they might have become aware of something and decided to go to a different path. So don't just demonize somebody because they were like they're taking a picture. Don't just demonize somebody because they're taking a picture with Anton LaVey. Okay, I mean, okay, I don't mean that seriously, but again, it does make you wonder. So. There are some people, though, that do need to be talked about. Like, I think some people are talked about in this media because they are, they're saying it for real. And there's always a bunch of people that are going to talk shit about you when you are saying it for real. And then, you know, or they might say, well, you know, there's still there's still CIA, there's still intelligence, there's still whatever. Like, I think Miles Johnston accused myself and Angela Power Disney of being involved with the IRA or the Irish. I don't know. I don't even know who they are really. Like because I'm not from here. I should know better. But he's like, I go, what is he talking about? I'm an American. You know, just because. And I even forgot what it was about. I mean, you know, I forgot what we said, or, you know, I think maybe I had, and then it was this video, and then he just, you know, he blatantly called me out on that. But I'm going to call Miles Johnston out, though, for having a woman who is talking about her husband, Bill Brockbrader, who is a fugitive that was featured on In Pursuit here in the United States on September 1st, 2021. And John Walsh did America's Most Wanted, and he has a huge profile case of his child being abducted. That's how he, got into the Adam Walsh Act and everything else. And I do realize that there's some controversy going on between Megan Walsh and her father, but this media took it upon themselves and talk about it in a way that made it seem like it was more than it was or didn't represent it right. And that is also on Private on Miles Johnston's show, because on that show, Eva Moore mentioned that John Walsh, in association with some information that she got from Penny Shepard, he was involved with his own child's abduction and death, and it was an occult ritual, satanic ritual. Come on, man. Really? Okay. That is just assuming the fact that his daughter is talking about some of the stuff that we're talking about, right? And associating, her growing up in an elite family and everything. You're just taking her journey of what's going on there and completely making it into something that is not factually based. She said it could have been a mob hit. Yeah, I think she said that too. I'd have to go back and look at it specifically if that's what she said on Miles Johnston's show, but I don't think Eva Moore said it on Miles Johnston's show. I think maybe that's a thing that's passed on later on, but I'm not for sure. I'd have to look at it again. I mean, I could pull it up and look at it again because I have some of the footage. Maybe we should do that. I have some of the footage saved on my own channel, and let's go look at that. Let's go look at it. Why not, right? I mean, we're here. Might as well. Let's look at what Eva Moore Brockbrader said. Let's look at it. You go to my videos here. Okay, hold on. All right. I did this show 2 weeks ago. And I'm going to let it buffer here. And she ends up saying it towards the end of the clip that I captured on it. So let's look at that. See, that's 21 minutes into it. Mission on the dark side. Like they keep spinning the story for us.
Important. And that only came up to me recently. But Duncan Davis,
okay, so this is like far. Let me go farther. Okay. It's more, it's about right here. I think, hold on. But it's booting here. I want to make sure that I have the right thing there. Hold on. See, like for me, this bothers me immensely of how couple things that she's done bothers me when and it happens at the end of the shows. I'm kind of anal of the broadcast with Miles Johnston, and she fails to tell the audience that her husband was on the show. She fails to tell people that he was arrested for molesting her back when she was 15, 16 years old, but he had been doing it since she was 11 years old. She doesn't give any back history. She just throws it out there like a conspiracy, that she says they're after my husband, and because he's having a problem with John Walsh. Well, I don't know if you guys know this, but the show has you can call in. There's a hotline to call in and give them a tip as to where he's at. So when Miles Johnston has somebody like Eva Moore coming on and telling them it's wrapping a conspiracy around it, not giving all the information, and telling them that John Walsh has it out for them and that they're corrupt and the Adam Walsh Act is corrupt, which is one of many acts that different states have bring forward too about abducted children, then you're kind of already unraveling maybe the good work that's already been taking place. And yet they will sit back and say, well, that's just a phony front for the people that are really trafficking. Okay, maybe it is, but nobody's really proven that yet. So, and just because you said it and you're spinning it as something to cover up your husband doesn't make you guys scammers or innocent either. And the fact that she's chosen to present the information in the fashion that she is, really, if you're going to do real journalism here, that if Miles Johnston was working for, like, let's say the BBC right now, and this was being produced on the BBC, and she was saying this stuff and they were allowing it, and they didn't give a disclaimer or something or whatever, then it could be perceived as slander, and if he had prior knowledge that this information was not credible, or the newspapers have prior knowledge, and yet they publish it anyway, that's considered malicious intent, and that's how the victim wins the lawsuit. So let's see if I got the right part here, and hopefully I actually I'm so anal about this. All right, let's go. Let's look at it. I hope I can find it. I hope I'm pretty close to where it's at. Okay.
So the son was the firstborn, and then Megan, and she's
exposing
her parents. So
yeah, go back then. We got to go back. Yeah. Let's go back to here. We might overlap, but I put it on silent there because I took a phone call. Yeah, you know what? A phone call came in the middle of it. Now I remember. Let's go back. Let's go back to like here. All right. And then I recap it again.
Maybe somebody said nasty things about me. Shocking.
Well, I talked to a lovely lady last night named Penny Shepherd. Are you familiar with Penny Shepherd?
Here we go.
I might be.
Here we go.
Not too familiar.
And she mentioned you, and she mentioned that she'd reconnected with Carrie Cassidy. So Penny's in Florida, and she's doing a very amazing amount of work with Megan Walsh. I don't know if you've been following this, but John Walsh is the guy in the United States that had his son decapitated. And they created a legal precedent called the Adam Walsh Act. Well, that was a ritual, right? It was a satanic ritual that was created to push legal task through. And Megan is the daughter under the son that died. So the son was the firstborn, and then Megan, and she's exposing her parents. So Penny is being wonderful in doing a lot of the research into the fact that John Walsh, Megan's father, was basically being run by cartels, and it ties into the Panama Papers and the MXIV and the shell corporations in Vegas, and that he's just a shill and he's a gatekeeper. And all
hold on for just a second. I'm going to have to take this phone call. Okay. See, and then I'll just wait. Hello. Hello.
Hi, can I speak with Tere, please?
This is Tere.
Hi, Tere. My name is Virginia. I'm calling with the financial aid office at Fresno City College.
Yes.
Okay. So the reason I did listen to your.
I didn't realize that was all on there. That's now great. Okay. All right. So, okay, it looks like I shifted it like right here. All right. I'm going to go back again to it. Let's just go back a little tiny bit and continue.
Penny's in Florida, and she's doing a very amazing amount of work with Megan Walsh. I don't know if you've been following this, but John Walsh is the guy in the United States that had his son decapitated. And they created a legal precedent called the Adam Walsh Act. Well, that was a ritual, right? It was a satanic ritual that was created to push legal task through. And Megan is the daughter.
Okay, to push a legal task of an amendment that protects children, like. Okay.
So the son was the firstborn, and then Megan, and she's exposing her parents. So Penny is being wonderful in doing a lot of the research into the fact that John Walsh, Megan's father, was basically being run by cartels, and it ties into the Panama Papers and the MXIVM accounts, the shell corporations in Vegas, and that he's just a shill and he's a gatekeeper, and all the people that are actually trying to stand up to help kids are the ones being, harmed by people like John Walsh. And John took her kids, and so I've been trying to get the word out that this is huge. This is a huge crack in the dam.
But that's another thing about Northern Ireland.
Okay, and you know what? To me, it looks like he edited something. Okay, so I just kind of wanted to show that again. So she doesn't say it's a mob hit. That those words don't come out of her mouth, but she talks about how there's cartels and this and that, and shell corporations and that. That's what she specifically says on Miles Johnson's show. Now, I guess you could, kind of throw mob hit in there. I did hear mob hit, but it's not in this. And then the last show, and I could even show you now that footage. It's weird how it kind of went. I didn't do that to have the words come across. So it's kind of interesting that the words kind of came across right now, so that we could actually see them on the screen. Her husband and just I know I'm recapping things again, but I don't know who watches what video. So Bill Brockbrader in pursuit. I will pull up the let's see, this is no, this isn't what I want. This is this is the one I want. It's titled "Man Posing as Navy SEAL on the Run for Failing to Register as a Sex Offender." I've already read this on my channel, but I want to show you where we're at with it. Just to stamp it of what's going on here. All right, so, and then there he is. All right, and there's a whole long article that you can read. And, he's a fugitive. There's a number to call, if with a tip, submit a tip. And I'm going to let you guys see the number, because if you run into him and you think that, if I ran into him, I would definitely be submitting a tip. You can call this number. Call 1-833-3-PURSUE, or you can just go to the site. You can write to them, and it's anonymous. And you can let them know where he's at. This is where we're at. This is where we're at with Bill Brockbrader. I think this is pretty serious and pretty damning. And, I've done some shows. I have a playlist here on this channel. It's titled Bill Brock Raider, Bill Wood, and all the different things that I've done, and the sources that I've done in researching what's really going on. And I can see both sides of the argument, in the sense that I can't prove that some of it's dirty, but I don't sit naively. I'm sorry about the what they call the elite side, right? The show or whatever. I mean, there are things going on with Megan Walsh. If you follow her Twitter, she tweets some very interesting things. But unfortunately for her, I believe, my opinion, is that she's chosen to be on the Buanon shows. She's chosen to be like on David Zublick's show, or people that are associated with those that are taking over the Asian and Indian cooking channels and the Indian gamer channels. They haven't stopped. Charlie Ward, all those characters, Simon Parks, let's throw him in there, Mel K, all those people are running around together still on YouTube. You can still find them. These are the platforms that she has been speaking on. She talks in terms of like patriot talk. And I'm almost suspecting that she has had her kids taken away from her because of her association with Buanon people or Buanon sentiment. Because Buanon is on the domestic terrorist here in the United States. So when you have people like Simon Parks, like so-and-so, like these people falling into, because unfortunately, when we talk about waking up, what we think waking up, or what we think the Matrix is, or like having that awareness, like, oh my God, something else is going on here. Someone else isn't, it's not fair. There's some sort of control over our money sources. There's a 1%. There's, a lot of things that Jordan Maxwell talks about, all that stuff that, that we start to wonder about. These people have come into the forefront, and all of a sudden, this UFO, like you could say, New Age kind of community, because New Ageism is an offshoot too, although it goes to ancient, religions and beliefs and this and that, going back to Egypt and this and that, right? Okay, all that stuff, right? It all kind of like intersects. I mean, when you talk about Jack Parsons practicing Thelema, while he was like, creating the Jet Propulsion Lab and making rockets and speaking with Aleister Crowley, there has always been, because of that, it seems like from a long time ago, there's been an onset of occultism associated with our space programs, right? I mean, can we safely say this? I mean, even when you look at, the history of Hitler and, the occultism that's associated with that, or how the symbol was changed as an ancient symbol, all of that. I know you guys know this, right? I mean, I'm looking at the same information because I'm trying to figure out, like, it's like a puzzle trying to piece out what's going on. But we have these other characters that jump up, even from other countries, even from like the UK, that come over here and they're participating in this Trumpism and this Buanonism that's still there. I mean, like, you can go on YouTube and you can see things, about Donald Trump, and, and now he's pro-Jap, by the way, which apparently, like, they go, how come a bunch of his followers went crazy over that? So that's how being anti that, puts you into the Buanon category. I didn't hear mob hit at all. I didn't hear the words mod hip in any of that dialogue, and I've actually just replayed it. So I didn't, there's no mob hit in that. She says nothing about it being a mob hit, in that piece of dialogue. And I've just shown the video again. She does not say it. And the only place right now I think that you can see that dialogue is my channel, because Miles Johnson's made that video private. No, she does not say on that video in that thing that it's a mob hit. She said she mentions cartels and shell corporations and blah, 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 blah. But she does not bring up the word mob anywhere in that conversation. Right? I didn't hear it. I mean, I'm just being specific about it. It's not there. It's not on that video. Now, I heard it someplace else. I think I might have heard it like on a David Zublik video or something. Like, I think that terminology is out there. It's just not on that video. I mean, I guess you can argue that it was someplace else later on, but I'm pretty sure that clip was the only part that she talked about it. And now we won't be able to watch the rest of it, anymore. Like, that's just parts of that video. The thing that gets me, is the day that Miles Johnston posted that video. A friend of mine made me aware of it, and I watched it, and it was jaw-dropping to me that she would sit there and say that. And really, it's not even, honestly, it doesn't even matter if she said mob hit or not. The point is that she is not telling us, she's not telling our community everything that's happened concerning him. She's taking it from one point and then making up a bunch of stories about it. Then, after I did that video, I did that video and got that footage as fast as I could because we had a feeling it was going to go down. And in it, that video, Miles talks a lot about his rape allegations, and they pretty much blame it on Sarah, which I don't think, I just think they're just pushing that button. And, I don't think, they need, Miles never started blaming Sarah for any of that stuff until Eva came into the picture. What is the purpose for their shows, really? Like, why bring on Eva Moore Brockbrader now? I mean, what is she really saying? Like, she's dropping Panama Papers and involved in that. If you look at the timeline of his arrests and everything like that, there's no way he could have been doing these things. But he goes on Carrie Cassidy's show and he says, oh, well, it looked like I was in prison. It looked like I was in prison, but, they really had me working these special ops. So I guess the Navy SEALs doesn't care whether or not you molest an 11-year-old. Is that it? They're just going to pretend like you went to prison and then make you sign some sort of document, being a registered sex offender. Because the reason why he's been missing for a while now, the reason why they are looking for him is because he is required to register as a sex offender. And it really doesn't have anything to do with the John Walsh Act, because every state has its own laws about that. And also, I think it's on a federal level. This type of legislation has existed before the Adam Walsh Act went into place in certain states. And so, if you've been convicted of that, then you are required to do it. Now, I'm sorry, but no, I'm not sorry. I don't think I have a reason to apologize. That's just a knee-jerk way of speaking, an old habit. He should be registering it. Like, just because he's been on Carrie Cassidy and spewed what he has, and they've pushed him in the Buanon websites. For some reason, Buanon's got him all up like he's like something. So he's associated with this stuff. What I think, this is my opinion, Eva Moore does a lot of amens and praise this and that, which probably has nothing to do with anything she really believes in. That the UFO community all of a sudden became right-wing, and it associated itself to the 17th letter in the alphabet. And when their channels went down, they decided to go on Indian cooking channels and Asian cooking channels, and they're still doing their stuff. You should listen to some of the stuff that Simon Parks talks about, and what his plans of what he's going to do in America, and that he loves President Trump. There are people here that believe that he is, gonna, like, he's in the GOP and he's gonna, be in there. You think Trump really represents Christianity and the evangelical Christians? He does. He took over that demographic, but that doesn't mean that that's what he is. Have you seen that footage where Donald Trump, like he's being on the point, he's barely knows what's in the Bible. There's a really interesting documentary out there. It's on Netflix. It's like something about the family or in the family or something like that. It talks about the prayer breakfast that was started at the White House going back to Eisenhower. And it culminates in Donald Trump coming into the picture. And it shows kind of a little bit of that footage of his attitude. And yet he can stand in front of an Episcopal church and hold a Bible, we assume is a Bible, but we can't see the front of it. It's just like a black book, and take a photo up in the middle of the George Floyd riots, which not the only thing that did was cause more strife in the United States. And yet you have someone like Simon Parks, who's not even a part of the United States, coming over here and still trying to perpetuate this Trumpism, which is a thorn in a racial war in the United States. All right? Like, maybe you guys, like, over in other countries or the UK or whatever, it didn't happen like that in your area. The 17th letter of the alphabet did not have that kind of impact on your country. And frankly, I am offended to have a Brit come over here and be on those Indian cooking channels like Simon Parks and doing up this conspiracy. And where does he come out of? He comes out of the UFO conspiracy world. I mean, let's face it. Even David Wilcock jumped onto Pizzagate. He jumped onto QAnon. Excuse me, I shouldn't be saying it. He jumped onto Buanon, right? He jumped onto it. He even had a downloadable free ebook. He's totally been part of it. Now, why can't people that are into trying to find out what this is and, like, whether or not, secret societies or, extraterrestrial life and what time travel and Montauk and all that kind of stuff, why can't those people divorce themselves from anything that happens to do with Trump or right wing or anything? And why did the conversation about why did that conversation become right-wing when we know that it's happening over in the UK? Or that, it's something that Brian Harvey's talking about. That we know that it's not just, it's not just liberals. It's not just Democrats. It's not just John Podesta. And another thing that I noticed that Eva Moore did in these interviews with Miles Johnson, or the first one, is she associated James Rink and Sarah Rachel Adams with the Podestas, which is so buoyant. It's so manipulative. And, honestly, it bothers me. I can see the manipulation. I see the manipulation. That's why I'm talking about it. And I think it's really hypocritical that our community, whether it's true or not, whether you want to believe her or not, whether you want to believe what they have to say or not, but it just seems like a lot of people in this community just give a blind eye when it's in our backyard. And we're so willing to go around and make some of them are conspiracies. Or they're exaggerated, or the information is given in the wrong way. Like for example, what Isaac Cappy did. He called out people and called them guilty by saying that they were, and didn't give any explanation as to why they were or how he knew that information. I'm learning, if you are printing things, or you're a journalist, or you call yourself a journalist, because really you don't need a degree to be a journalist. Really, I learned that too, because in the UK you do. UK has a different kind of system, but here in the United States, they don't, because they don't want their journalists to be beholden to the government. Because once you get a piece of paper from the government saying that you are, then you have to then they have control over you. If you say these things, you can't be that anymore. So it doesn't even matter if you've even gotten an 8th grade education, but there are certain ethics and there are a certain way. And if you are really working for a paper, there are certain things that you can do or not do. And, you know, when YouTube came about, and then, you know, and then you have your online journalists, which, you know, exist. Then that's when people who didn't really know the proper ethics of doing something is. The reason why we have freedom, one of the reasons why we have freedom of speech here, or why journalism is so important, or what journalism is that it's the 4th branch of the government. Like journalists are the watchdogs of their own government, and they in our Constitution protects us to have that kind of freedom of speech here in the United States. Now it's being compromised online, you know, and the system, and, you know, like, just because it's ordained that doesn't mean who you're working for has done it. And there's a lot of people who are actually publicists. Publicists, we have to know the difference between if it's a publicist for a company or whatever, or an agenda that's doing the journalism, or if it's a real journalism, that journalist is not beholden to a company or representing an organization or anything, or the people, you know, anything like that. So another thing, and another video that I cut away is Lauren Pritchard. Lauren Pritchard, I'm sorry, but I said I'm sorry again. I'm not apologizing for Lauren Pritchard. I watched a video of Lauren Pritchard that she has on her main channel. She's been in YouTube jail, and she changed it from Space Mama to Lauren Pritchard Jesus News. All right, you know what I find interesting about Lauren Pritchard is that she comes out and says that she's a pagan and a Christian at the same time. And then when you watch her do interviews, she brings up a lot of pagan ideals and history. And so she you know, brings in or melts Christianity with paganism. But then again, if you look at her most recent video, she's going on and on about how Christmas is pagan. And yet she admits to being pagan. So, you know, she's a confused woman as far as I'm concerned. Either that, or she's so ill. She's doesn't matter. She's a phony too. Like she's doing the same thing, like not wearing a mask, causing arguments, acting right wing, you know, being a child rescue, but then talking about the end of times. Those are stereotypical things that people that are looking from the outside, you're not winning anybody over by. It's a turnoff. And if you're pious or judgment in the name of Jesus, like I think she is, she condemns people. She, she's called out people to harm others or harm a group of people. Like these people are all, you know, blank pedos. You know, well, I can't say, I'm not going to take them out myself, but you know, like what she did to C.W. Chanter, you know, like C.W. Chanter just said, you know, and I don't blame him for thinking it. Like he was like, well, this woman has mental problems because like she thinks that she was pregnant when she, you know, with an immaculate conception and this and that, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, she's just, you know, so, and I don't even think he was being like mean to her. Like it was like I think that I've been a lot more harder on her than C.W. Chanter ever was. But she was just going off and, you know, telling people where he lived at and, you know, and really inciting what I would consider that is the definition of hate speech. Because if you're talking about somebody and you are creating a violent sentiment or you're attempting to attack or having a violent attack on a certain group of people, whatever, that is what is really determined as, you know, hate speech here in the United States. So, you know, to sit back and, you know, I can say that she's confused about, you know, she said that she's a pagan and a Christian, because she has. Like, I'm not just telling you something just to like shame her. She has said that about herself. Like, she said that on her interview with Steve Cambion on Truth Seekers. All right. But when you sit back and you condemn somebody as if they're like, she full on called me on the Miles Johnson chat. She said that I was a wizard, that I was like, she accused me of being a witch, really. And I'm not a witch. I'm Dorothy from Kansas. No, I'm kidding. And that was really okay. I'm not a witch. I've said people what I believe. I've announced my faith before, or my beliefs. I don't wear it like a badge every day so everybody knows it. You know, I think that it's better to like become it and be it than actually keep saying that you are it. That's the most nauseating thing about it. And, you know, but she, you know, she's telling people publicly, or she's treating me like I belong to the dark side. I'm the evil one. I'm the one who's, you know, full of chaos. And yet, just recently, she did this interview where she actually thinks that, you know, Mr. Eyebrows, Aquino, is maybe still an okay person. I haven't seen anything to really think that he was really evil, is what she says. But I'm evil. Woo! That makes me laugh. Because it's what drives clicks. What more do we need to understand? Okay, and even if you say they're just doing it so that they can drive clicks, then it's still not authentic, and it's doing a lot of damage. Like, it doesn't matter. Yeah, okay, so you could say that's an assumption, right? Like, oh, well, why is she doing that? Yeah, she's doing it for some reason. I mean, I'm thinking about doing a show on Lauren Pritchard, you know, because I've researched different things about her, you know, and in the beginning when everybody's going, oh, she's crazy, I was like, well, God, I don't want to like be really harsh on a crazy person, but that crazy person is mean, and they say really they slander, and they incite a negative, you know, hate speech towards people. And they're pushing, they're representing our community, or what, if you want to talk about, say that this is a community, but they're representing the stereotype of the worst part of what people think that we're doing here. And further causing more censorship, causing more negativity. I don't see, I mean, granted, like, and especially if you're melding paganism with Christianity, it's like, well, what is she really then? Like, why do people trust? Is it just like it's a train wreck and it's entertaining? Everybody wants to just stare at it. I mean, why are people donating to her child rescue mission when I don't think she's really, what is she doing lately to rescue any really children? Does she put them on camera? Oh, agreed. Cool. Does she put them on camera? Do we, you know, like, hey, these are the children that we've saved here, or did she just, you know, create a ruckus at a brewing company and create a ruckus at the border of Texas, and you know, no, Anyway, so I talk about it. I talk about it from my platform because, you know, I feel like a watchdog, you know. I mean, I'm not done with my journalism degree or anything like that, or just in general. It's like, wait a second. We can't just be, we have got to be mindful about what we're saying. Like, I would have bought even more better if she had come clean while she was talking to Miles Johnston in any of these interviews, let the viewer know, like, like John Walsh is after her husband. Okay, yes, I guess you could say that, being that he was, featured on the program. Like, he was in the second half of a program on In Pursuit. You can see it online on Vimeo. I think Kevin Moore has it on his channel uploaded. Yeah, I guess you can consider that that's after your husband, but she's not letting you guys know why or what's really happening. She's just taking an opportunity, and both times on the show, it happens towards the end of the show. Does anybody perceive her as not mentally unwell, though? Well, some people, we're talking about Lauren. Some people do perceive Lauren as not being mentally well. But, but within her, but for me, she's a little too catty, and she she's very manipulative. Like, she's making money from it. You know what I mean? Like, she's like a loose cannon, out of control, whether you want to call it mental illness or not. A lot of people are going to want to deem people who act like that as being mentally ill. And so, they're almost like a prototype that, well, anybody that talks about the real aspect of what happens to children, then you're also mentally ill like her, you see. Aren't we just understanding that there are really that many nutters out there that feed on that crap? LOL, like some perverted entertainment. You know what? That's a good thing to bring up, but I don't think that that's their entire demographic. Like, I think that there are people who really believe that children are being harmed, and I think that there's a real aspect to that. Otherwise, there wouldn't be shows like In Pursuit, or they would have not have created something like called the Adam Walsh Act. I mean, to what degree that takes place, that still remains to be seen. Really, right? I mean, we have Jeffrey Epstein, we've got Jimmy Savile, we have Ghislaine Maxwell trial, Prince Andrew's involved. When you start to see like that there is a real narrative within the conspiracies, then you can't just say that the people that are attracted to it are just nutters. I mean, maybe people that are like taking Miles Johnston seriously might be missing a certain amount of discernment, and yet they will say that they're the ones who are woke and they're the ones who are doing it. But you have to realize Miles Johnston perpetuates a lot of occultism. So if you're coming in there from, like, let's say, a Lauren Pritchard Christian aspect, then what Miles Johnston shows, or a lot of the other people show, they're still using astrology and magic, or being, in terms of their protection against gang stalking, etc. Like, they don't, that community, when you talk to somebody, you go, oh, I'm targeted, harassed, or I'm gang stalked, or whatever. Their remedy for you has to do with mantras and reverse speaking things, and imagining protection around you, and it's more taking somebody's name and drawing a circle around and putting in the refrigerator, all those little tricks that get passed down. They're more into that than they are going, well, I'm giving this over to Jesus Christ, and it's a spiritual word, and I'm taking up the armor of God. There's a group of people that do that online, and they talk about spiritual gang stalking, but it's not coming from this group. I haven't seen it yet. If you have, let me know. Oh, here's this thing again. Thermal Mermaid. That's kind of a cool name. Thermal Mermaid. Eva Moore is clearly an enabler of a predator. What more do we need to digest about her? Well, you need to digest the fact that her husband's a fugitive right now, and that she is going on Miles Johnston's show and giving misinformation to people. and talking about it, and she's going on camera, and she's still building her husband up as some sort of hero when he's actually a fugitive to the FBI. And my point on this is that I'm calling this community out as hypocrisy, especially people like Lauren Pritchard, who can argue with me on Miles Johnston about this and act like she doesn't even want to look at the real facts. Well, if you're really looking for children, if you really want to know who a predator is, then maybe we should like make sure that those predators are off our platforms, that we don't accept them anymore. Or maybe it would be a good idea for, like, if somebody does know where he is, actually call and turn him in. Do the good deed. Do you remember when Bill Wood made a comment in one of those interviews where he said looking at children was like being a kid in a candy store? Those were his words, and Eva stayed with that. I don't remember that. Where's that at? Because see, I gotta be honest with you. I kind of started looking at Bill Wood. I wasn't a follower of him before this. Like when he did Carrie Cassidy's show, I had a hard time listening to that one. It just didn't really appeal to me, really. I mean, he goes into a lot about tomahawks and this, that, and I didn't even get to the part of the video where he talked about his arrest or having to register or whatever. These guys are all imploded, sadly. Nearly every single one of them. I know. And, you know, honestly, I mean, with all this James Casbolt stuff and, you know, the whole super soldier thing and everything, I'm again, okay, well, what part of that part's true? Like, I liked listening to Max Spears, and I also liked listening to James Casbolt, and I liked that one interview of James Casbolt and Max Spears is epic, you know, together with Carrie Cassidy. And the thing that gets me the most about James Casbolt, or I think that's the most prophetic, is that he said that there was the elites, like the Rothschilds and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers, or you know, the fourth, or the Fourth Reich, and then, you know, whatever, that they had joined forces together to go against humanity. And the one way that they were going to break up the United States was to create a racial war. And I think that's happened. That's been happening. We have gone through that. And whenever you share a conservative sentiment at all, you are very quickly labeled a racist. And I have been called a racist. I'm not one. I'm actually even a minority myself. I've been called a racist simply for criticizing what I thought about Barack Obama. Because I criticized him at all as a president, just like any other president, I was a racist. Now, how does that happen? Like, how do people in public on YouTube? Now, that guy that did that to me, I knew him. He used to play music in front of this Bernie's Beanery in LA, in West Hollywood. He played a guitar. He'd be standing there playing music, and then he just decided that he wanted to over that way back when he was still president, and I blocked the guy. And now when I have my new Facebook page, I'm friends with him again, and he wants to get with me. Like, he was like, I'm like, what is going on here? Like, do you love me or am I a racist? I'm so confused sometimes. I just let it be. Thermal Mermaid. I've spoken to almost all of these people over the last decade, and there were a few interesting tidbits. Really? Dude, can you share? Yeah, there are a few interesting things they talk about that are couched in a huge fantasy. Oh wow, I would love to know. I would love to know that. I'm actually starting to get kind of hungry. I should probably go. I gotta get something to eat. I'm feeling kind of hungry. So anyway, so we'll see what happens, right? Like, are we like, okay, this is what I want to know. Where does the truth lie in all of this? Like, where is the real UFO disclosure? Where is the real aspect of, artificial intelligence coming in, and where's the truth? Because I think we need to get past this part, and then hopefully we'll find answers. Hopefully all of us won't have been in vain. That we that it wasn't just for our entertainment purposes. That somehow we came to an agreement, or maybe just the human race is just insane, right? We're just all crazy, huh? Anyway, I probably will come on before the new year. So, and this was just kind of a spontaneous show, and I hope it wasn't too annoying for you. And happy holidays, and much love to everybody out there, despite all of it. Even much love to Lauren Pritchard. I know she doesn't love me, but in a cosmic sense overall. Even the people who are doing bad things, right? Like eventually, like, isn't it like where I always thought, especially like if you want to believe in like past lives and reincarnation and the purpose of reincarnated and gaining wisdom over all of your lifetimes, right? Or if you're a Christian, right? Or your beliefs, or like growing up and not like leaving your old ways, right? Dropping and really not saying, okay, I'm not going to do these things anymore. I'm not going to harm others this way, or I'm not going to say, treat people like this, or I'm not going to do this to myself anymore. I'm going to get healthy. I'm not going to do drugs. I'm not going to, whatever it is that, is your flesh or your sin, or the thing that you haven't self-actualized yet, right? I think that is the real work. Even like you can't just go, oh, I accept Jesus Christ as my personal savior, and now everything that I do is like forgiven, and so I can just go ahead and do whatever I want, whatever. It's more like there's like when you decide to, like when people talk about ascension, what is the ascension? Like we want to call it the ascension, but don't you have to like do something to yourself so that you're better than you're not doing the things, you're not stuck anymore, That's where I think that if you're going to talk about being spiritual is more like how it's not like just because we say, oh, I'm spiritual. Oh, I'm going to wear white, and I'm going to clear your energies and your chakras and walk around and do a snake serpent dance and woo, or drop ayahuasca or whatever. Like granted, I think that there are some things that open you up or whatever. I'm not, I think that you can have a healing by using mushrooms, or it might do something to your consciousness, or it might do something to help you, whatever, if you're using it for those purposes, right? Or even cannabis can do something like that, but that's a whole nother conversation, but in the end, it really depends, I think, on how we change and how we're going to embody, whatever you believe in. Like I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. I don't like to say like I'm a Christian because I don't. A lot of times I don't like Christians because they have this pious kind of attitude and this sort of and I know that probably sounds really negative to say, but if that's what you're into, if that's what you're learning and you're reading the Bible and you're wanting to live in that direction. But granted, I fail all the time. There's certain societal requirements that certain religions said, oh, you can't do this, you can't dance, you can't cut your hair, you can't wear makeup, you can't do blah, 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 blah. That's all crap. That's all man-made stuff. Like, point to me where I couldn't do that. or, do you take like a literal translation of something to mean a certain way when it was written a certain way? I mean, there's lots of dialogues you could have over these things. But if you're a person who is like, do unto others as others would have, but as you would want them to have do unto you, the golden rule, like, to me, that's where I want to go. I know that there's like other, religions that have the same philosophy as that, but that's my method. But see, even when I say that, even say like, well, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, like, I feel like that automatically persecutes me, or that automatically puts a judgment on me. But at the same time, I feel like, well, if other people can say who they believe in and what they're following, or if they can be a damn Satanist, then I feel like I can say, well, I like to follow. I'm Jesus Christ. It's my choice. You might have Buddha, but the real teachings, the real, not like, I vote evangelical and I'm MAGA, or I'm going to pose with a book or whatever. And I don't have to sit here and like, market my channel like Tere, Joyce, Jesus News and talk about the apocalypse or anything like that, or that I'm going to be, like, we're going to be raptured soon. I mean, I'm not interested in that. But in my private way, I'm trying, right? I'm trying to, have compassion and also like speak the truth. I'm grateful that this forum that still exists, that we can still explore what the truth is, what that is. I just think that we got to stop worshiping and glorifying people and thinking that, just because like they went on Carrie Cassidy's show and, gave you some sort of like conspiracy that you believe is true, because maybe it is true, but the person who's saying that they're involved with that thing may not be, maybe a complete phony. And I'm wondering, like, how many of you guys out there really, because it seems like a lot of times if you criticize these people, you get a backlash, because it's like you poked at their religion, and therein lies the cult aspect to this particular community. And I think we have to keep that in check, because remember, there were people that actually like took the Kool-Aid and wore their Nikes and thought they were going to meet extraterrestrials. Hey, Charles. It is, if it's real, then it will change a person. Depends on what you do with it, I guess. Let's see, but do it first. Labels. Okay, rapture doctrine was invented in 1830 by John Derby so he could fleece his parishioners out of their savings. It has no Greek or Latin equivalent. Well, that's true. That does happen. I think like back in like I think it was like 2010 maybe, or something like that. There was like a rapture day. I remember there was a rapture day where people like gave up their stuff and their pets and, signed things away and, their money, and then they were still alive the next day. Could you imagine being that person? I think they should do like it should be a scene in a movie. They should do like a comedy where there's a couple that, gives everything away to the rapture and then like goes, oh, fuck, we're homeless. Fuck me, we're homeless. All right. Sorry, I'm swearing. All right. Right? Yeah, they should. I think it would be really funny to like, or do a documentary, like try to find those people like who gave everything away for the rapture, and then they're still here like 10 years later. Like, are you in hell now? I guess you weren't one of the raptured. Because even if somebody was raptured, where they come back and go, hey everybody, I just got raptured. Like when they're up in the sky with the trumpets, I'm raptured. Like, how do you know they got raptured? Did you ever? I had these experiences, like even when I was a child, like if I couldn't find people, I go, mom, and I go, oh my God, did they get raptured? And I'm the only one here. Okay. It happened, and it is a different timeline. Yeah, we're all living. Well, we could be living different timelines. I do believe that there's a level of like string theory could be true, or like how do you explain the Mandela effect, right? Because it is happening. It is happening. Like all of us collectively, like remember that that Mandela died in the 80s. Tell me, I thought he was dead. I was one of those people. But there's a lot of people that you think are celebrities, and they go, I thought they were dead. Like I had a dream about Ed Asner last night. Ed Asner was in my dream, and I talked to my mom about it today, and I go, isn't he dead? He died recently, right? I had this dream where Ed Asner was wanting us to tell him, I'm not going to tell you what the topic is because I'll get trouble on YouTube, but he was like, I want you to give us the truth, or like your evidence of what you know about this. And I compiled all of my evidence, and once I compiled it, nobody cared. Like they kept ignoring it, and especially Ed Asner. It was weird because I think that's because he was on the Mary Tyler Moore show, and he was like part of the news staff. Mary Tyler Moore. I didn't actually mean that. String theory has been dropped now. Has it? Oh, okay. See, look, I'm behind at the times. String theory has been dropped now. Huh. Okay, I got to go get something to eat. And I wish you guys a Merry Christmas. No, we already had Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. I wish you guys a Happy New Year. Hey, Charles. I always like it when you show up. All right. Good night, you guys.